Welcome back. There is a live look outside from our Inn at Spanish Head Resort Hotel camera in Lincoln City. Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. Many people believe tough love is the best way to help a loved one with an alcohol issue, but our next guest says that may not be the best answer. After losing her husband to alcoholism, she now shares her story in the new book, The Hardest Help. We welcome Holly Thornton. Thank you so much for joining us, Holly.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share my story with others that need this.
I appreciate you being so open and vulnerable. Will you share a bit of your family story? Because I think a lot of people can relate to what you've been through.
Yeah, 46% in the US are living with an addict. And my story is about alcohol addiction, but my story applies to all addictions, really. I think that there's a lesson and a guide for anyone that's going through this, whether it's alcohol or, like I said, another type of addiction. And my husband was an alcoholic. He was silently an alcoholic for many years, and I didn't know it. I didn't know the red flags to look for. And when I recognized the red flags, I didn't know what to do about it. And about 3 years prior to my husband passing, because ultimately he did pass away, I did quite a bit of research and I developed a roadmap, really the roadmap and the guidebook that I wished that I had. And like I said, ultimately, it was too late. He passed away from liver failure at the age of 36. And I so desperately want to give this gift to someone that's going through this now, because many are struggling with their loved one that has some sort of addiction, and they don't know where to turn. They feel alone, and they certainly don't know what to do about it.
Well, I know the book is a lot about empowering families. Is that the biggest thing you hope people take away, that they're not powerless, that they can reach out with help and love?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm throwing out the old school methods. So the waiting until they hit rock bottom, which really doesn't work. So you can actually have power, and there are effective ways that you can respond that can steer your loved one toward recovery. And using these research-backed methods that I teach, I don't promise that your loved one is going to recover, but what I do promise is that it's going to reduce the tension in your home and get your partner off defense. And you're going to be able to make those strides that you want to make and open the conversation and move toward recovery and steer that person toward the recovery that they desperately need.
Were there certain of those older methods or ways of thinking that you tried in your household that just absolutely did not work at the end of the day?
Yeah, waiting for rock bottom. Ultimately, rock bottom for my husband was death. And I think a lot of people see rock bottom. It could be a DUI, it could be the loss of a job, it could be the end of your marriage or a relationship, because that's what's out there in society, right? Well, you should just walk away, or you need to wait for them to hit rock bottom, or they have to want to get help. And when that frontal cortex is damaged, that part of the brain that's responsible for self-awareness, impulse control, when that's damaged, rock bottom is not something that they're going to recognize on their own as, oh, my wife left, or we had a relationship that ended, or I lost my job. It's due to my drinking. Oftentimes they don't connect the dots. And so they do need some help. And oftentimes it's once they've had some time away from the substance that they can then see that they can see that is the result of their usage. But oftentimes, like I said, at the time, in the depths of their despair and addiction, it's just not something they can see. And so that waiting for rock bottom, it doesn't work. And not everyone is in the position to leave a relationship because of an addiction, and not everyone wants to. I want to unite families, and I want to give someone the tools that wants to stay there, that wants to make a difference. I want to give them those research-backed tools. And like I said, the guidebook as to how you can care for yourself and keep your sanity in this process, because I know that was very difficult for me. That's difficult in any situation that's tough. And also how you can help your loved one and keep the family together.
It is so hard when it's someone so close to you that you love the most, and you can feel them slipping away before your very eyes. Is there
Yeah.
one simple thing or first step you would recommend to somebody who's listening and thinking, I'm relating to this conversation, where do I go next?
Yeah. The first thing I would say, and what I want people to remember, is to trust your own judgment. Waiting for your loved one to acknowledge those feelings that they have an addiction and that they need help, that might not come for years, or it may never come. And so those red flags that you're seeing, listen to that gut instinct. And you don't have to wait to act. There are things that you can do today. One is picking up my book, and the other is going to Facebook groups and finding someone that's a good sounding board that's been going through this as well. There are quite a few Facebook groups for family members of addicts, I think. It's not always a good idea to use your loved one that has the addiction as a sounding board. So I think going and seeking a counselor or a support group for others that are dealing with this as well, that's something that's very helpful.
It's true, there are so many resources out there, and I really appreciate your vulnerability and sharing your personal story. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you so much. And I am at thehardesthelp.com.
Perfect. Okay, we'll have that on our website as well. The book again is The Hardest Help. We'll have more information at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.